Being kind doesn't mean letting people walk over you. Respect is not something you should have to beg for. If someone constantly disrespects you, it's not your job to fix their attitude. It's your job to protect your peace and know your worth. People treat you based on what you allow. The moment you stop making excuses for their behavior, you start taking control of your life. Today we will talk about 5 powerful ways to handle people who don't respect you. You don't have to stay silent, shrink yourself, or feel guilty for setting limits. These lessons will show you how to stay calm, respond with strength, and protect your energy. Whether it's a friend, co-worker, or family member, you'll learn how to stand up for yourself without being aggressive. If you're ready to stop tolerating disrespect and finally take your power back, then let's dive in. Number 1. Set clear boundaries and stick to them firmly. There's a truth most people don't want to admit, but it needs to be said. Some people will never treat you with the respect you deserve. No matter how kind you are, no matter how hard you try. You could give them your time, your attention, even your loyalty, and still they will find a way to step on your dignity. And that hurts. It really does. It makes you question your value. It makes you second-guess your decisions. And over time, it can wear down your confidence, drain your energy, and make you feel like you don't even matter. But here's the good news. You don't have to let it happen. You don't have to sit there and take it. You can take back control. The first step? Set clear boundaries and stick to them no matter what. A boundary is a line, a decision. It's you saying, this is what I will allow, and this is what I won't. And let me tell you something important. When you don't set those lines, people will cross them every time. Not because they're always trying to hurt you, but because many of them don't know better, and some of them simply don't care. That's why you've got to be the one to decide where your respect begins and where their influence ends. Now listen, setting boundaries is not about being rude. It's not about building walls. It's about building strength. It's about protecting your time, your energy, and your peace of mind. Because if you don't, someone else will decide what you tolerate, how you get treated, and how much of yourself you give away. And the biggest mistake people make with boundaries is they say things they don't enforce. They'll say, I don't like when people talk to me like that, and then do nothing when someone talks to them like that. That's not a boundary, that's a suggestion. And people don't respect suggestions. They respect consistency. If you're not firm, if you're not clear, if you don't stand behind your words, people will test you again and again. Let me be real with you. When you start setting boundaries, some people will push back, especially the ones who benefited from you not having any. They'll say you've changed. They'll say you're being cold. They'll try to guilt you. But that's not your problem. Their discomfort is not your responsibility. You're not doing it to hurt them. You're doing it to take care of yourself. And you have every right to. You don't owe anyone access to you. Not just because they're family. Not just because you've known them for years. Not just because they expect it. Respect isn't something you give out of obligation. It's something you give where it's earned and returned. And that starts with how you respect yourself. That means saying no without explaining yourself. That means walking away from conversations that cross the line. That means refusing to answer texts that make you feel uneasy. That means stepping away from people who only come around when they need something. And you don't have to make a big speech. You don't need to announce it on social media. You just need to make a decision and stick to it. Every time you hold that boundary, you teach people how to treat you. Every time you let someone step over it, you teach them they can get away with it. Now here's where the real power comes in. When your boundaries are clear, the right people will show up and the wrong ones will fall away. People who care about you will respect your space. They'll listen when you say no. They won't take offense when you need time. And those who don't respect your limits? You'll start to see them for who they really are, not by what they say, but by how they act when you stand up for yourself. And standing up for yourself doesn't have to be loud. You don't need to yell. You don't need to fight. You just need to be steady, calm, firm. That's strength. That's maturity. That's confidence. Because when you stop letting people cross your lines, you stop giving away your peace. You stop shrinking. You stop settling. You begin to live with more clarity, more confidence, and more self-worth. You start to attract relationships that are based on mutual respect, not convenience or control. And most of all, you begin to feel free. Free from guilt. Free from resentment. Free from being used. Here's something else to think about. You train people with your behavior. If you're always saying yes when you want to say no, they'll expect that. If you laugh off disrespect just to keep the peace, they'll do it again. But if you pause, speak clearly, and walk away when necessary, they'll learn. They'll either step up or they'll step out. Either way, you win. Remember this, no one can respect you more than you respect yourself. And that starts with the boundaries you set. It's not about being harsh. It's about being honest. Honest with yourself about what you need. Honest with others about what you won't accept. And it's not just about relationships. It's about your time, your space, your values. If you let people interrupt you constantly, you're telling them their time is more important than yours. If you let others dump their problems on you all the time, you're telling them your emotional health doesn't matter. But when you set that line and say, I'm not available for that, you begin to live with integrity. You begin to show up for yourself. That's when things change. That's when you stop feeling drained and start feeling strong. You stop second-guessing yourself and start trusting your gut. You stop being controlled and start living with control. And that power, it doesn't come from anyone else. It comes from you, your choices, your courage, your boundaries. So, the next time someone talks down to you, interrupts you, disrespects your time or energy, don't get loud. Don't get defensive. Get clear. Get strong. Get firm. You don't have to make a scene. You just need to draw the line and stand behind it. Because when people know where your boundaries are, they have a choice. They can step up or step back. But they'll no longer have the power to step on you. And that, my friend, is where your strength begins. Number 2, speak confidently without raising your voice ever. Most people grow up in environments where their voice was either ignored or only heard when it was loud. Somewhere along the line, many were taught that shouting was the only way to be taken seriously. That if they didn't speak louder, nobody would care. And because of that, they carry that belief into adulthood, into relationships, into workplaces, into friendships. But here's the truth. Raising your voice doesn't increase your power. Speaking louder doesn't make you more confident. In fact, it often does the opposite. It shows you've lost control, and the moment you lose control, you lose respect. Confidence is not about volume. It's about presence. It's about how steady your tone is when someone tries to push you. It's about how you speak when someone is trying to provoke you. When someone disrespects you, your real strength isn't in how loud you respond. It's in how calmly you hold your ground. That calmness, that unshakable, steady tone, it speaks louder than any shout ever could. People confuse silence with weakness. They confuse a quiet voice with submission. But it's actually the other way around. The loudest person in the room is often the one who feels most insecure. They're the ones who need to dominate because they don't feel strong inside. But the one who can stand their ground, speak clearly, and never flinch. That's someone who knows who they are. That's someone no one can shake. You see, when you stay calm, when your voice stays level, you show people you're not rattled by their noise. You show them that they don't get to control your emotional state. And when people can't pull you into their chaos, they realize they can't manipulate you. That's real authority. That's real power. Now, let's make this practical. Confidence in your voice isn't about memorizing big words or giving speeches. It's about believing what you're saying. When you believe your own words, you don't need to raise your voice. When you mean what you say, you don't have to convince anyone, you just say it. And that honesty, that certainty creates a presence. People feel it. People notice it. You don't have to match someone's energy when they come at you loud. If someone disrespects you, your strength is in being direct, not dramatic. You say, "That's not okay with me." You say, "I don't accept being spoken to that way." And you say it once with calm certainty. No threats, no shouting, no long explanations, just clarity. Because when your words carry truth, you don't need to decorate them. Think about the people you admire most, the people you remember long after the conversation ends. They don't yell, they don't rush. They speak like every word matters. They take their time. They own the space around them, not because they take up the most space, but because they're sure of themselves. That's the kind of presence you want to build. But here's the part most people miss. Speaking confidently doesn't start in the conversation. It starts in your mind. You can't speak with certainty if you're always second-guessing yourself. You can't be calm if your mind is full of fear and doubt. So the real work starts before the words ever leave your mouth. You have to believe you're worth being heard. You have to believe your thoughts matter. And that comes from knowing who you are, knowing what you stand for, and knowing what you will and won't accept. When someone tries to cut you off mid-sentence, you don't shout over them. You pause. You wait. You lock eyes and say, "I'm speaking." You don't match their tone. You keep yours steady. And if they keep pushing, you don't chase the argument, you walk away from the disrespect. That's control. That's leadership. That's maturity. This is even more important when you're dealing with people who don't respect you. Because the moment they see you react with anger or desperation, they see weakness. But if you stay composed, if you keep your tone calm and confident, they begin to realize they can't get under your skin. They can't move you. And that changes the dynamic. Now, that kind of discipline takes practice. You won't master it overnight, especially if you've spent years trying to be heard through noise and chaos. But every time you speak without raising your voice, you're building that inner strength. Every time you choose calm over shouting, you're reclaiming your power. It's not about being passive. It's about being deliberate, strong, intentional. And don't mistake this for being emotionless. You can be passionate, you can be firm, but you must be in control. Confidence is measured by how little you need to prove. And the less you try to prove yourself through volume, the more others take you seriously. Let's talk about the kind of impact this has. When you speak this way, people listen more carefully. They lean in, because your voice doesn't beg for attention, it commands it. When you walk into a room and you speak in that calm, clear tone, people sense that you're not here to play games. They sense that you respect yourself, and that forces them to consider how they treat you. This doesn't just apply to strangers or difficult people. It applies to every relationship you have. With your boss, with your partner, with your friends. If you want long-term respect, you have to speak like someone who respects themselves. That means no yelling. No emotional outbursts, no trying to talk over people, just steady, honest communication. And sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. Silence is a message, a strong one. If someone crosses a line and you choose not to argue, not to explain, but simply withdraw your attention, that speaks volumes. That tells them, I don't fight to be heard. I don't raise my voice for those who don't listen. You earn respect by how you speak, how you hold yourself, and how you refuse to entertain disrespect. Every time you keep your voice level, every time you choose calm over chaos, you build a reputation. People start to notice. They say, that person doesn't get rattled, that person is solid. And that's how trust is built. That's how leadership grows. You don't need to dominate a room. You just need to walk into it like you belong there. Speak like someone who knows what they're worth. No shouting, no desperation, just truth. Confidence, calm. The people who need to hear you will. The people who try to shake you won't be able to. And that's how you win. Quietly, powerfully, with a voice that never needs to be raised. Number 3, limit your time around disrespectful people immediately. There's a harsh reality that many avoid facing, but it demands attention. The people you spend your time with shape the quality of your life. It's not a catchy phrase or some inspirational quote. It's a fact rooted deeply in our everyday experience. When you surround yourself with people who don't respect you, it's like slowly poisoning your peace. It wears you down. It steals your energy. It clouds your mind. And often, you don't even realize how much harm it's causing until you step away and feel the difference. Most people think they have to tolerate disrespect because of loyalty, family ties, work, or obligation. They tell themselves, "I can handle it," or "it's just the way this person is," but that kind of thinking is dangerous. It traps you in a cycle where disrespect becomes normal, where hurt becomes expected, where your self-worth takes a back seat. You owe it to yourself to break that cycle, and the best way to do that is by limiting your time around those who don't treat you right. This isn't about cutting people off out of anger or pride. It's about protecting your emotional and mental health. It's about creating space for people who lift you up instead of tearing you down. When you limit time around disrespectful individuals, you give yourself room to breathe, to heal, and to grow. You stop allowing their words and actions to define your value. You can't pour from an empty cup. When you spend too much time with people who disrespect you, your cup empties fast. You leave those encounters feeling drained, anxious, maybe even worthless. And that affects everything else: your work, your relationships, your dreams. But when you choose to spend less time with those who diminish you, you start to refill your cup. You regain strength. You find clarity. You remember who you are. It's tough because disrespect often comes from people close to you: family, friends, co-workers. So you might feel guilty for pulling back. You might worry about hurting their feelings or causing conflict. But here's the truth. The cost of staying in disrespectful relationships is much higher than the discomfort of setting limits. You cannot be your best self when your environment constantly chips away at your confidence. Start by recognizing where your time goes. How often are you around people who dismiss your feelings, interrupt you, or make you feel small? How often do you excuse their bad behavior because you think it's easier than facing the consequences? Be honest with yourself. Notice how you feel after being with certain people. Do you feel lighter or weighed down? That feeling is a signal. Pay attention to it. Limiting time doesn't mean cutting ties completely every time there's an issue. It means being intentional. It means choosing when and how much energy you invest. For example, you can attend a family event but keep your interactions brief and focused. You can work alongside difficult co-workers but avoid unnecessary conversations that drain you. You can say no to invitations that you know won't be positive for you. Every small boundary around your time adds up. When you start limiting your time, expect some resistance from others and maybe even from yourself. People who have relied on your availability might complain or pressure you. You might feel lonely or guilty at first. That's normal. But remember, your well-being comes first. You deserve to be around people who respect your boundaries and make you feel valued. Loneliness is temporary. The damage of staying in toxic situations lasts much longer. Limiting your time also means protecting your mental space. When you can't avoid certain people, you can at least control how much of your mental energy you give them. Don't dwell on what they said or did. Don't replay disrespectful moments in your mind. Instead, focus on your purpose, your goals, and the positive relationships that nurture you. Guard your thoughts as fiercely as you guard your time. It's important to realize that limiting time is not the same as ignoring problems. You can still communicate honestly and assertively with those who disrespect you. But you don't have to spend hours explaining yourself or trying to change someone who isn't willing to change. Sometimes the best response is to simply step back, take a break, and focus on what you can control: your own actions and attitude. You might find that when you limit your exposure, those people who disrespect you start to change their behavior. Sometimes people only realize their faults when you stop tolerating their bad treatment. They notice your absence. They ask questions. They might even apologize and show respect moving forward. But even if they don't, That's not your failure, that's their choice. Another key point is that limiting your time is an act of self-respect. It sends a clear message to yourself and others that you won't accept less than you deserve. It's a daily practice of honoring your worth and protecting your peace. When you make this commitment, you build stronger boundaries that don't bend under pressure. You create an environment where respect is the norm, not the exception. Imagine how different your life would feel if the people around you treated you with kindness and respect. Imagine waking up knowing you won't be dragged down by negativity or disrespect. Imagine conversations where you feel heard and valued. That's possible, but it starts with choosing who you allow into your space and how much time you spend there. And here's a vital insight: respect is contagious. When you surround yourself with respectful people, you start to respect yourself more. Your confidence grows, your outlook brightens, your energy shifts. And in that space, disrespectful people lose their grip on you because you're no longer feeding their power. This is about survival, but also about thriving. It's about creating a life where respect isn't something you beg for or hope to receive. It's something that comes naturally because you demand it. You don't wait for respect, you claim it. By limiting your time around those who don't honor you, you give yourself the chance to flourish. You might wonder how to handle situations where you can't avoid disrespectful people completely. Maybe it's your boss or a family member you live with. In those cases, focus on minimizing contact and maximizing your own emotional armor. Prepare mentally for interactions. Keep them short and focused. Don't engage in arguments. Protect your heart by not taking their disrespect personally. Remember, your peace is non-negotiable. Every moment you spend with disrespectful people is a moment you could be using to build yourself up. Don't let obligation or fear keep you trapped. You have the right to walk away, even if it's just for a little while, to reclaim your power. And every time you do, you strengthen your ability to demand better treatment in the future. Limiting your time is a skill, and like any skill, it takes practice. Start small. Choose one relationship where you will cut back. Notice how it feels. Notice the difference it makes in your mood and energy. Keep building on that until it becomes second nature. Soon enough, you'll find that your circle is smaller but stronger, that your days feel lighter, that your heart is freer. This is not about isolation. It's about wise connection. It's about investing your time where it matters most, in relationships that bring out the best in you. You owe yourself that much. Your future self will thank you for the boundaries you set today, for the respect you demand, for the peace you protect. Limiting your time with disrespectful people is not a weakness or an escape. It's a courageous step toward reclaiming your life. It's a statement that your value isn't up for debate. It's the beginning of a journey where respect is the foundation, not the exception. And that journey starts now. Number 4, call out the behavior calmly and directly. Every person who's ever been disrespected knows how frustrating it is to feel invisible, dismissed, or undermined. The hardest part isn't just the insult or the slight, it's watching that behavior go unchecked, as if it's acceptable or normal. People often let disrespect slide because they don't want to rock the boat. They worry about conflict, about making enemies, or being seen as difficult. But here's the truth: nobody talks about enough. When disrespect happens, silence is not your friend. Allowing bad behavior to continue without response is like giving permission for it to happen again and again. If you want respect, you have to speak up. You have to call it out, and you have to do it calmly and directly. Calling out disrespect isn't about attacking someone or getting into a fight. It's not about blaming or shaming. It's about holding people accountable for their actions and protecting your own dignity. When you address the behavior clearly, you send a message that you value yourself enough to demand fair treatment. And that message changes how people see you. It changes how they treat you. But here's where most people get it wrong. They wait too long. They let the disrespect pile up until they explode in anger or shut down completely. They think confrontation means drama, so they avoid it altogether. That approach only lets resentment grow and respect slip further away. The best time to call out bad behavior is the moment it happens, or as soon after as possible. The sooner you address it, the less power it has over you. When you do call out the behavior, keep your tone steady. This isn't a time for yelling or sarcasm. It's a time for clear, firm statements. Say exactly what you saw or heard and how it made you feel. For example, if someone interrupts you repeatedly, you can say, "When you interrupt me like that, it feels like my thoughts don't matter." That simple sentence is powerful because it's honest and specific. It puts the focus on the action, not the person. It invites understanding instead of sparking defensiveness. People often respond better when you express how their behavior affects you, rather than accusing them. Instead of saying, "You're disrespectful," say, "I feel disrespected when this happens." That subtle shift changes the conversation from blame to awareness. And when people become aware, they have the chance to change. Calmly calling out disrespect also shows confidence. It tells others you're not afraid to stand up for yourself, but you don't need to be aggressive to do it. You don't need to shout to be heard. This kind of calm clarity cuts through noise and confusion. It makes your words stand out because they're not clouded with emotion or drama. They carry weight because they come from a place of self-respect. Another key to calling out disrespect is timing and environment. Pick a moment when you can speak privately or when there's minimal distraction. Calling someone out in front of others might escalate tension unnecessarily or make the other person feel embarrassed, leading to defensiveness. Addressing the behavior one-on-one allows for a more honest and respectful conversation. It's also crucial to prepare yourself mentally before you speak. Know exactly what you want to say. Keep your message simple and focused. Avoid wandering into past grievances or unrelated issues. The goal is to address the disrespectful behavior clearly and calmly, not to air out every problem. When you stick to the point, your words are stronger and more effective. Expect different reactions when you call out disrespect. Some people will listen and adjust their behavior. Others might deny or minimize what they did. You might even face anger or attempts to gaslight you, making you question your own feelings. Stay firm in those moments. Trust your experience. Don't let others' reactions make you back down. Respect isn't negotiable. It's important to remember that calling out disrespect is not about changing someone else's personality overnight. It's about setting a boundary. It's about making clear what you will and won't accept. And if the disrespect continues even after you've addressed it, that's a signal to reconsider how much space you give that person in your life. Many people fear confrontation because they worry about losing relationships or causing conflict. But calling out disrespect calmly and directly often prevents bigger conflicts from happening. When issues are left unspoken, resentment builds and small slights turn into deep wounds. Open communication creates a chance for understanding, repair, and healthier interaction. When calling out behavior, avoid getting personal. Attack the action, not the person's character. For example, instead of saying, "You're always rude," say, "The way you spoke just now felt rude to me." This keeps the conversation constructive rather than confrontational. It opens the door for dialogue instead of shutting it down. Standing up for yourself in this way also teaches others how to treat you. People learn through experience. If you never speak up when they cross a line, they assume it's okay to keep doing it. But if you consistently address disrespect as it happens, you train those around you to be more mindful. Over time, this builds a culture of respect in your relationships. It's okay to feel nervous about calling out bad behavior. It's a new skill for many. But every time you do it, you grow stronger. You build confidence in your voice and your presence. You remind yourself that your feelings and boundaries matter, and that growth translates into every area of your life. Another powerful aspect of calling out disrespect is how it affects your self-image. When you stand up calmly and clearly, you reinforce to yourself that you are worthy of respect. You break the pattern of silence and self-doubt. You build a foundation of self-respect that makes it easier to demand respect from others. Sometimes people don't realize their behavior is disrespectful until it's pointed out. Your calm, direct words can be a wake-up call. You're offering them a chance to improve and change. That's not just good for you, it's good for everyone involved. Healthy relationships thrive on honest communication. It's crucial to avoid justifying or apologizing for your feelings when calling out disrespect. You don't need to explain why something hurt you or why you're upset. Your feelings are valid. Your boundary is valid. When you start defending yourself, you give others room to argue or dismiss your concerns. Simply state the facts and your feelings, then pause. Let that be enough. In situations where you don't feel safe addressing disrespect directly, prioritize your safety. It's okay to seek help from others or to remove yourself from the situation first. Calling out behavior is a tool of empowerment, not a requirement in every moment. Your well-being always comes first. When this practice becomes part of your daily life, you'll notice a shift. You won't feel powerless or overlooked. You won't be a victim to others' poor treatment. Instead, you'll be a person who stands firm in your worth, who demands fairness without aggression, who communicates clearly and respectfully. Respect is a two-way street. When you call out disrespect calmly and directly, you open the door for respect to flow both ways. You show others how you want to be treated, and you invite them to meet you there. It's a powerful way to transform not just your relationships, but how you see yourself in the world. The next time someone crosses a line, don't hesitate or shrink back. Look them in the eye and speak with calm clarity. Say what you need to say. Protect your peace. Hold your ground. That act alone is a declaration that you will not be diminished. Number 5. Focus on self-respect before expecting it from others. One of the toughest lessons in life is understanding that respect from others starts with the respect you give yourself. Too many people waste time and energy chasing approval or demanding respect from others without ever truly valuing themselves. This is like building a house on weak foundations. If your own sense of worth is shaky, it becomes almost impossible to expect anyone else to treat you well. The harsh reality is that people often mirror the energy you put out. If you undervalue yourself, others will pick up on that and treat you accordingly. On the other hand, when you stand firm in your own self-respect, you naturally attract respect from those around you. Self-respect is not something you're born with, it's a muscle you build over time through your choices, actions, and mindset. It's about recognizing your own value, honoring your needs, and refusing to settle for less than you deserve. This process isn't always easy. It can mean facing uncomfortable truths about your behavior, ditching toxic habits, or walking away from relationships that drain you. But it's necessary. Without self-respect, you're giving others permission to cross your boundaries, speak over you, or diminish your worth. People who struggle with self-respect often find themselves in situations where disrespect becomes normal. They tolerate being talked down to, overlooked, or ignored because they think that's what they deserve. This creates a vicious cycle. The less respect you show yourself, the more others feel justified in showing you less respect. Breaking free from this cycle means making a conscious decision to treat yourself with dignity first. When you start doing that, everything changes. Self-respect looks like setting your own standards for how you want to be treated. It means you don't settle for disrespectful comments or dismissive behavior. It means you choose to spend time with people who lift you up, not tear you down. It means saying no when something doesn't feel right, even if it's hard. It means taking care of your mental and emotional well-being as seriously as you take care of your physical health. Developing self-respect also involves being honest with yourself about your strengths and weaknesses. It's about recognizing your achievements without minimizing them. It's about forgiving yourself for mistakes without using them as an excuse to treat yourself poorly. When you can look in the mirror and accept yourself fully, flaws and all, you become less dependent on external validation. That independence is incredibly powerful because it frees you from the roller coaster of others' opinions. Many people confuse self-respect with arrogance or being unapproachable. That's a misconception. True self-respect is quiet and steady. It's the calm confidence that comes from knowing who you are and what you stand for. It doesn't need to boast or put others down. Instead, it lifts you up so that you can stand tall no matter what others say or do. One practical step to build self-respect is to notice the way you talk to yourself. The internal voice that criticizes or doubts you needs to be challenged and replaced with one that encourages and affirms. When you stop beating yourself up for every mistake or shortcoming, you create space for growth and resilience. That inner kindness translates into the way you allow others to treat you. If you respect yourself enough to refuse negative self-talk, you'll also refuse toxic treatment from others. Self-respect also requires discipline. It means following through on your commitments, keeping your promises to yourself, and taking responsibility for your actions. When you do what you say you will do, you build trust in yourself. That trust becomes the foundation for expecting and demanding respect from those around you. People respect those who respect themselves because it shows strength, reliability, and integrity. Another critical aspect of self-respect is protecting your time and energy. Saying yes to everything and everyone leaves you exhausted and resentful. When you honor your limits, you send a clear message that your well-being matters. This is not selfishness, it's self-preservation. The more you protect your peace, the less room there is for disrespect to enter your life. Building self-respect also means making choices aligned with your values. When your actions match your beliefs, you feel authentic and grounded. This authenticity makes it easier for others to see your worth and treat you accordingly. It's much harder for disrespectful behavior to take root when you live with purpose and clarity. It's important to remember that self-respect is not static. Life will throw challenges your way that test your confidence and worth. There will be days when doubt creeps in or when past wounds resurface. During those times, it's crucial to return to the core truth that you deserve respect simply because you are human. No one has the right to take that away from you. People who have mastered self-respect don't waste energy on people who don't value them. They don't beg for kindness or approval. Instead, they walk away from negativity, knowing that their worth isn't tied to anyone else's opinion. This is freedom. It's freedom from the chains of others' disrespect. When you focus on self-respect first, you become a magnet for healthier relationships. People who respect you will naturally gravitate toward your confidence and integrity. These relationships become sources of support, encouragement, and growth. In contrast, disrespectful or toxic people will lose their power over you because you no longer tolerate their behavior. It's also important to teach younger generations or those around you about self-respect. Show them through your actions what it means to honor yourself. Model boundaries, confidence, and kindness. When you do this, you create a ripple effect that spreads respect in your community and beyond. Sometimes building self-respect requires professional help or guidance. If past experiences have damaged your sense of worth, therapy or coaching can provide tools and support to heal and rebuild. Seeking help is not a sign of weakness. It's a step toward reclaiming your power. Self-respect changes how you see the world too. When you believe in your worth, you begin to approach challenges with resilience rather than fear. You're less likely to accept poor treatment or settle for less than you deserve. This mindset shift can open doors to opportunities that were once out of reach. Many successful people credit their achievements not to luck, but to the strong foundation of self-respect they built. It gave them the courage to say no to distractions, to stand firm in their decisions, and to demand fair treatment. Without self-respect, no amount of external success feels fulfilling. Every day is a chance to practice self-respect. It might mean speaking up for yourself in a meeting, refusing to engage in gossip, or choosing to rest instead of overworking. These small acts add up, building a life where respect isn't something you chase, it's something you live. If respect is what you want from the world, start with yourself. Treat yourself like the valuable person you are. Protect your time, set your standards, and refuse to settle for less. When you do this, respect from others becomes a natural outcome, not a distant dream. This is how you reclaim your power and create a life of dignity and strength. Number 6. Never explain yourself to people who disrespect you. The hardest truth many people face is learning when to stop explaining themselves. There comes a point where no amount of words will change the way disrespectful people treat you. It's painful to realize that some people won't see your value or intentions, no matter how clearly you communicate. The energy you spend trying to justify your actions or feelings to those who have already decided not to respect you is wasted. It's like shouting into a storm. Your words get lost, unheard, or twisted to fit their own narrative. When someone disrespects you, it's not always because you did something wrong. Sometimes disrespect reveals more about their own insecurities, fears, or lack of empathy than it does about you. Explaining yourself to such people often gives them more power, allowing them to continue disrespecting you while you exhaust yourself trying to prove your worth. This dynamic drains your energy and chips away at your self-confidence. It is a trap many fall into, believing that if they just say the right thing or clarify their motives, things will improve. In reality, it rarely does. Refusing to explain yourself doesn't mean you're arrogant or uncaring. It means you've recognized your value and refused to seek approval from those unwilling to give it. Your time and emotional energy are too valuable to spend convincing someone who has already made up their mind about you. Instead of wasting words on people who don't respect you, focus on nurturing relationships with those who do. Let actions speak for themselves, and let respect grow naturally from mutual understanding and care. The urge to explain yourself often comes from a desire to be accepted or liked. It's a natural human need, but when it turns into over-explaining, it becomes a sign of insecurity. If you find yourself constantly justifying your decisions, behaviors, or feelings to someone who responds with disrespect, it's a clear signal to step back. Real respect doesn't require a lengthy defense or repeated explanations. It shows up in how people treat you without you having to prove yourself. Consider the countless hours spent trying to explain yourself to people who refuse to listen. Imagine how different your life could be if you took that time to focus on your growth, goals, and well-being instead. Explaining yourself to disrespectful people often leads to frustration, confusion, and more disrespect. When you stop engaging in these futile explanations, you regain control over your emotions and your narrative. When you make a decision to stop explaining yourself, it changes how others see you. People who once took you for granted begin to realize you won't tolerate disrespect. You set a boundary that your words and actions deserve to be accepted as they are. This doesn't mean you're closed off or unwilling to communicate. It means you're selective with your energy, choosing conversations that lead to understanding and respect rather than conflict and judgment. There will be times when you feel the pull to explain yourself one more time, hoping for a breakthrough. That is normal, but remembering your worth helps you resist that pull. You must remind yourself that respect is a two-way street. You owe it to yourself not to chase respect from those who won't give it freely. When you keep explaining yourself to disrespectful people, you inadvertently reinforce the idea that your value is negotiable. That is a dangerous message to send to yourself and the world. Learning to stop explaining yourself is a powerful act of self-care and strength. It's about trusting your own decisions, values, and intentions enough that you don't feel the need to defend them endlessly. When you act from a place of confidence, people will respect you for that confidence. Disrespect often thrives on doubt and hesitation, so owning your truth without explanation cuts through that. It is important to remember that refusing to explain yourself doesn't mean shutting down communication altogether. It means communicating clearly and calmly when necessary, but refusing to be dragged into endless debates or justifications. You can state your position once, with confidence, and then move on. This shows maturity and respect for both yourself and others. When you stop over-explaining, you also protect your mental health. Constantly defending yourself to critics or disrespectful people can cause anxiety and self-doubt. It makes you question your decisions and erodes your peace. By refusing to engage in these draining conversations, you create space for positivity and growth. You reclaim your mental space and emotional energy. Not explaining yourself to disrespectful people also sends a message about your values. You demonstrate that your worth is not dependent on external validation or approval. This is liberating. It frees you from the pressure to conform or justify your choices. You begin living your life authentically, guided by your principles, not others' opinions. There are situations where explaining yourself is necessary and healthy, especially with people who care about you and want to understand your perspective. But even in these cases, explanations should come from a place of sharing, not defending. When you shift your mindset from defending to sharing, communication becomes more genuine and less stressful. It's also essential to recognize the difference between explaining yourself and apologizing. Explaining is about clarifying your intentions or actions. Apologizing is about taking responsibility when you've genuinely made a mistake. The problem arises when you confuse the two and start apologizing unnecessarily just to avoid conflict or to gain respect. This weakens your position and encourages more disrespect. Building the habit of not explaining yourself to disrespectful people takes practice. It might feel uncomfortable at first because society often encourages us to justify ourselves. But as you grow stronger, you'll notice how much more peaceful and empowered you feel. Your self-esteem rises and your relationships improve. You no longer feel the need to prove your worth because you know it already. You might wonder how to handle situations where you're expected to explain yourself, like at work or in family settings. The key is to be concise, clear, and calm. State your facts or decisions without oversharing. If the person persists with disrespect, remind yourself that their opinion is not your burden. Protect yourself by limiting these conversations or seeking support when needed. It's helpful to prepare yourself mentally for moments when you feel pressured to explain yourself. Practice responses like, "I've explained my position," or "I'm not going to discuss this further." These statements are firm but respectful. They help you maintain control without escalating conflict. Never explaining yourself to disrespectful people is not about being rude or dismissive. It's about valuing your time, your peace, and your self-worth. It's a boundary that protects you from emotional harm and preserves your dignity. When you live by this principle, you empower yourself to focus on what truly matters: your growth, happiness, and meaningful connections. This approach also teaches others how to treat you. When disrespect is met with silence or firm boundaries instead of endless explanations, it loses its power. People learn that disrespect won't get a reaction or justification. This shifts the dynamic and encourages more respectful behavior. At the end of the day, your life is your responsibility. You don't owe anyone an explanation for living according to your values and standards. Choosing not to explain yourself to disrespectful people is a declaration of self-respect and strength. Number 7. Protect your peace by walking away silently. One of the hardest lessons to learn in life is that not every battle is worth fighting. You'll come across people who disrespect you in ways that hurt deeply, challenge your dignity, or shake your confidence. In those moments, the instinct might be to argue, to defend yourself loudly, or to prove your worth with words. But sometimes the most powerful response isn't noise, it's silence. Protecting your peace by walking away quietly can be one of the strongest statements you make. It's a way to guard your energy and keep your spirit intact when respect is absent. Disrespect from others can create a storm inside you: anger, frustration, confusion. These feelings are real and intense, but acting on them impulsively often drags you down into the same toxic space. When you walk away silently, you're choosing peace over conflict. This doesn't mean you're weak or passive. It means you're strong enough to recognize that not every situation requires your energy or reaction. Your peace is a precious resource. Once lost, it's hard to regain. Choosing silence and retreat in the face of disrespect is an act of wisdom, not surrender. Many people find it difficult to walk away because they worry about what others will think. There's a social pressure to respond, to stand your ground with words or actions. But imagine the toll it takes when you engage with someone who has no intention of respecting you. Their disrespect is not about you, it's about their own issues. By staying and arguing, you allow their negativity to pull you into a battle that leaves you drained and unsettled. Walking away silently is about control over your emotions, your time, and your environment. It's about refusing to be part of a situation that diminishes your value. When you walk away without drama or explanation, you maintain your dignity and show that you won't lower yourself to match someone else's disrespect. Silence here is a shield that protects your inner calm. It prevents toxic words or actions from disturbing your mind and heart. People who disrespect you often seek a reaction. Their words or actions are designed to provoke anger, hurt, or confusion. When you don't give them the reaction they want, you take away their power. Silence can be disarming. It leaves them without fuel to continue their negative behavior. Walking away quietly says, "I'm not engaging with disrespect." It's a boundary communicated without confrontation. This practice also gives you time to reflect and regain composure. Instead of responding impulsively, you create space to understand your feelings and choose how to move forward in a healthy way. Sometimes, distance is what's needed to see things clearly. When emotions are high, silence and physical space allow you to cool down and avoid saying or doing something you might regret later. Walking away silently isn't about running from problems or avoiding necessary conversations. It's about knowing when a situation is toxic and not worth your participation. If someone continually disrespects you, walking away shows that you're prioritizing your mental and emotional health over approval or acceptance from them. It's a form of self-respect and self-preservation. This action also inspires respect in others. People notice when you refuse to get caught up in negativity. It demonstrates strength and confidence. You become someone who sets the tone rather than reacts to chaos. Others will recognize that disrespectful behavior will not be tolerated and that your peace is non-negotiable. Sometimes walking away silently can feel lonely. You may feel isolated because you're choosing yourself over a relationship or interaction that isn't healthy. That's natural. But the peace you protect by stepping away is worth the temporary discomfort. Over time, walking away teaches others to respect your boundaries or encourages them to change their behavior if they want to keep you in their lives. It's important to understand that walking away doesn't require an explanation or justification. You don't owe anyone your reasons for protecting your peace. Your well-being is your responsibility, and choosing to walk away quietly is a way of honoring that responsibility. When you stop feeling obligated to explain your decision, you free yourself from unnecessary stress and conflict. In practice, walking away silently means leaving a disrespectful situation without anger or confrontation. It means physically or emotionally stepping back and refusing to engage in arguments or justifications. It may mean ending a conversation, removing yourself from a social setting, or mentally disengaging from toxic dialogue. The key is to do this calmly and without drama, preserving your dignity and peace. Developing this habit requires courage and self-awareness. At first, it can feel uncomfortable because it goes against the impulse to fight back or defend yourself. But with practice, walking away becomes a natural response to disrespect. It empowers you to choose peace over chaos and self-respect over conflict. When you protect your peace by walking away silently, you also protect your energy for the people and things that truly matter. Your time and spirit are limited resources. Spending them on toxic interactions leaves less for your growth, happiness, and positive relationships. Choosing silence and retreat preserves your ability to thrive and move forward. It's also important to recognize when walking away silently isn't permanent. Sometimes, distance gives both parties the chance to reflect and come back to the table with respect and understanding. Walking away is a strategic pause, not a final abandonment. It's a way to reset boundaries and expectations, allowing for healthier interactions in the future. Walking away silently can be practiced in small daily moments, pausing instead of reacting, ending a conversation that turns disrespectful, or stepping out of a stressful environment. These small actions build resilience and reinforce your commitment to your peace. Over time, this commitment shapes how others treat you and how you treat yourself. Remember, peace is not the absence of conflict but the presence of inner calm and strength amid life's challenges. Protecting your peace by walking away silently is a powerful skill that guards your mind and heart. It allows you to face disrespect with dignity and confidence, refusing to let others' negativity steal your joy. This approach transforms your relationship with disrespect. Instead of being caught in endless battles or explanations, you reclaim your power through calm, quiet withdrawal. You show that your peace is more important than any argument, any insult, or any moment of disrespect. You have the right to protect your peace. You deserve to live without the constant weight of disrespect dragging you down. Walking away silently is a simple yet profound way to assert that right every day. It's a practice of strength, self-love, and respect that builds a foundation for a happier, healthier life. Number 8. Surround yourself with people who value you. One of the harsh realities many people face is being around those who don't see their true worth. When respect is missing, it often isn't just about one person or one moment. It's about the environment you choose to live in. The people around you shape your experiences, your feelings, and your self-image more than you realize. That's why surrounding yourself with people who value you is not just a nice idea. It's essential for your mental health, your confidence, and your growth. It's impossible to thrive in a place where you are ignored, dismissed, or belittled. You deserve to be among those who recognize your value and treat you with the respect you deserve. When disrespect becomes a pattern, it can wear down your spirit. You start questioning yourself, doubting your worth, and wondering if maybe you deserve the treatment you're getting. That's the trap many fall into, and it's a dangerous place to be. To break free from that cycle, it's crucial to look carefully at the company you keep. Who are the people you spend your time with? Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Do they encourage your best self or chip away at your confidence? Being honest with yourself about these questions is the first step toward reclaiming respect and peace. Surrounding yourself with people who value you means choosing relationships that feed your soul, not drain it. It's about finding those who listen, who care, who celebrate your successes, and who stand by you during tough times. When you are with people who truly value you, you feel seen and heard. You don't have to explain yourself or defend your feelings. Their respect isn't conditional or fleeting, it's steady and genuine. That kind of support makes a difference in how you view yourself and how you handle challenges. You don't have to look far to find such people. Sometimes they are family members, friends, co-workers, or even acquaintances who treat you with kindness and fairness. Other times, they are new people you haven't met yet, waiting in the wings for you to seek them out. It takes courage to leave behind toxic relationships or distance yourself from those who disrespect you. But it also takes courage to reach out to new people, to build connections that nourish your sense of worth. When you do, you open the door to a healthier, happier life. Being around people who value you is like planting seeds in fertile soil. You grow stronger, more confident, and more capable because your environment supports you. You start believing in yourself more, and that belief attracts even more respect and kindness from others. It becomes a cycle that feeds your growth and shields you from the effects of negativity. It's important to recognize the signs of people who do not value you. They might interrupt you, dismiss your opinions, ignore your boundaries, or make you feel small. These behaviors chip away at your self-esteem and poison your peace. By contrast, people who value you treat you with consideration. They respect your time, your feelings, and your space. They don't compete with you or put you down. They build you up. The contrast is clear once you learn to recognize it. Sometimes we stay in disrespectful relationships because of fear, obligation, or habit. We worry about being alone, losing social status, or disappointing others. But holding on to people who disrespect you costs far more than it's worth. It drains your energy, clouds your judgment, and limits your happiness. Choosing to surround yourself with those who value you isn't selfish, it's necessary self-care. Building a circle of respect also means setting clear standards for how you expect to be treated. When you value yourself, you attract people who reflect that value back to you. You don't settle for less than you deserve. This isn't about arrogance or superiority, it's about honesty and self-respect. When you communicate your needs and boundaries clearly, the right people will respond positively. They will honor you, and you will know that you are in a safe and supportive space. Sometimes, this means walking away from relationships that no longer serve you. It's painful, yes, but it's a powerful statement that you will no longer accept disrespect or neglect. It's a declaration that your peace and well-being come first. Walking away clears room in your life for those who truly value you and allows you to invest your time and energy where it matters. Choosing to surround yourself with people who value you also means being that kind of person yourself. Respect and value are reciprocal. When you treat others with kindness, empathy, and honesty, you attract the same treatment in return. Your behavior sets the tone for your relationships. If you show respect, people will learn to respect you. It's a simple but profound truth that builds meaningful connections and a supportive network. Being in the company of those who value you influences your mindset and emotional health. It helps reduce stress, anxiety, and feelings of loneliness. When you know you are appreciated, you are more likely to take risks, pursue your goals, and face challenges with resilience. The support system around you becomes a foundation of strength, a buffer against life's difficulties. It's also important to be selective and intentional about your relationships. Not everyone deserves a place in your inner circle. It's okay to keep some relationships casual or distant if they don't contribute positively to your life. Prioritize quality over quantity. A few people who truly value you are far better than many who disrespect or neglect you. Sometimes, surrounding yourself with people who value you means seeking new environments, joining clubs, groups, or communities where shared interests and values create natural respect and connection. These spaces allow you to meet people who appreciate your qualities and encourage your growth. It's never too late to expand your circle and find new sources of support and respect. Ultimately, the people you surround yourself with will shape your experience of life. Being with those who value you not only protects you from disrespect, but also fuels your confidence, happiness, and success. It's a fundamental step toward living a life where respect is the norm, not the exception. You deserve to be around people who see your worth and treat you accordingly. When you prioritize relationships that honor and respect you, you create a powerful foundation for a life filled with peace, joy, and fulfillment. It's a choice that requires courage and commitment, but it's one that transforms your reality and empowers you to thrive. Number 9. Control your reactions and never show anger. There is a hard truth many people face when dealing with disrespect. How you react matters more than what is done to you. It's a bitter pill to swallow, but anger rarely solves anything. When someone disrespects you, the first feeling that rises is often anger. It's natural, but what follows that feeling, how you choose to respond, determines the outcome. Losing control of your emotions doesn't make you stronger, it makes you vulnerable. It hands over power to the person disrespecting you. You don't want to give your power away. You want to hold it tightly and never let it slip because of someone else's poor behavior. Controlling your reactions doesn't mean being cold or emotionless. It means being aware, deliberate, and measured. It means recognizing that anger is a signal, not a command. You feel angry because something isn't right, but acting on that anger impulsively will create more problems. When you respond calmly, you're not ignoring your feelings. You're managing them in a way that protects you. People who respect themselves do not lose control in the face of disrespect. Instead, they pause, take a breath, and respond thoughtfully. That control commands respect more than any loud argument or heated exchange ever could. Most people have been in situations where disrespect led to an outburst. The voice gets louder, the words get harsher, and emotions take over. The problem is, once anger takes the lead, logic disappears. You might say things you regret. You might make decisions that harm your reputation or relationships. You lose the advantage of being the calm, collected person who can handle adversity. When you hold your anger, you maintain your dignity and give yourself the upper hand. Understanding your emotions is key to controlling your reactions. When you feel anger rising, acknowledge it internally, but don't let it control your actions. Notice the physical sensations, the tightening in your chest, the heat in your face, the quickening heartbeat. These are cues that you need to slow down. Take a moment to breathe deeply and ground yourself. This simple action can stop anger from escalating and help you think clearly. People who disrespect you often want to provoke a reaction. They thrive on seeing you lose your composure because it gives them a sense of power. When you don't react with anger, you deny them that satisfaction. Your calmness becomes a shield that protects your peace. It sends a message that you will not be manipulated or controlled. That strength is far more powerful than any angry outburst. Reacting without anger doesn't mean ignoring the disrespect or pretending it doesn't hurt. It means handling the situation with grace and confidence. You can acknowledge the behavior calmly without raising your voice or getting defensive. A composed response shows that you are in control of yourself and the situation. It signals to others that disrespect will not break you or make you lash out. In some cases, controlling your reaction means choosing silence over confrontation. Saying nothing can be a powerful way to protect yourself from unnecessary conflict. Silence can disarm those who seek to provoke you. It keeps you safe from saying something that can be used against you later. Walking away quietly preserves your energy and your peace of mind. It's a demonstration of strength, not weakness. Learning to control your reactions takes practice. It's not something that happens overnight. You may slip and react emotionally at times, but the goal is progress, not perfection. When you catch yourself getting angry, remind yourself of the bigger picture. Ask if your reaction will help or hurt you in the long run. Choosing calmness is always the better path. Controlling your anger also means understanding the impact of your reactions on others. When you respond with calmness, you set an example for how you want to be treated. People learn from your behavior. If you respond to disrespect with composure, others will think twice before treating you poorly. Your reaction shapes the culture around you, influencing how people engage with you. It's important to prepare yourself mentally for situations where disrespect might occur. Visualize how you want to respond calmly, even if you feel angry inside. Having a plan in place reduces the chance of reacting impulsively. It empowers you to stay in control and protect your peace. Remember, anger is a natural emotion, but it is not the only option. You can feel anger without acting on it. You can choose to respond with wisdom instead of emotion. That choice separates those who are respected from those who are not. By controlling your reactions, you keep your dignity intact. You prevent unnecessary drama and conflict. You create an atmosphere where respect is earned because you model it yourself. You become a person others look up to because you don't let disrespect break you or define you. This approach takes strength, patience, and self-awareness. It requires you to step back and see the situation clearly without being consumed by emotion. When you master this skill, you protect your mental and emotional health. You stay focused on your goals, not distracted by petty conflicts. The power of controlling your reactions is immense. It can change the course of your relationships and your life. It shows that you are in command of yourself, no matter what others do. That control builds confidence and respect, both from within and from those around you. Never forget that how you respond to disrespect is a reflection of who you are. Choose to respond with calmness, not anger. Show strength through control, not through shouting or confrontation. Protect your peace by mastering your reactions, and you will find that respect follows naturally. Number 10. Let actions show your worth, not your words. It's a hard reality to face that words alone rarely earn respect. Many people talk a good game, but their actions don't back up what they say. When you're dealing with people who don't respect you, relying solely on what you say can leave you powerless. Words can be ignored, twisted, or dismissed. But what you do, the choices you make, how you carry yourself, and the consistency of your behavior, those things speak louder than any argument or explanation ever could. Actions are the proof of your value. They are the foundation upon which respect is built. Think about the times you've heard someone claim they deserve respect, but then saw them act in ways that didn't support that claim. Maybe they talked about honesty, but lied when it suited them. Maybe they demanded respect, but treated others poorly. When your actions contradict your words, people notice. They pick up on the gap between what you say and what you do, and that gap erodes any respect you hope to gain. True respect requires integrity, and integrity is visible in what you do, not just what you say. When others disrespect you, it can be tempting to respond with words, arguments, explanations, demands. But no amount of talking will shift their view if your actions don't demonstrate your worth. It's the everyday choices, the small habits, the way you treat yourself and others that shape how people see you. Showing up consistently with honesty, kindness, and self-discipline creates an invisible force field around your reputation. That force field is what makes disrespect bounce off rather than stick. There is power in focusing on your actions because they are within your control. You cannot always control what others say or do, but you can control your behavior. When you respond to disrespect with consistent integrity and positive action, you demonstrate that their opinions hold no weight in your life. You show that you live by your values, regardless of external noise. This is not about arrogance, it's about self-respect and confidence. It's a quiet, steady strength that commands attention without needing to shout. The world watches how you act far more than how you speak. People judge you by your deeds, how you handle pressure, how you treat people when no one is looking, and how you respond to adversity. If your actions align with respect, others will take notice. Even those who initially showed disrespect will have to reconsider their stance because actions are undeniable. They carry a weight words can never match. This is why investing in your character is essential. Your habits, your consistency, your ability to follow through on promises, these are the pillars of your worth. When you develop yourself in this way, you build a reputation that speaks for itself. You won't need to defend your value with arguments. It will be obvious through everything you do. People respect those who hold themselves accountable and live authentically. Letting your actions speak also protects your peace. When you focus on doing the right things, you're not distracted by the need to explain or justify yourself. You're not caught up in trying to convince disrespectful people that you deserve better treatment. Instead, you invest your energy into improving yourself and making progress. This shift in focus leads to greater inner strength and less emotional turmoil. It's important to remember that actions don't have to be grand gestures to matter. Small, consistent actions build the strongest foundation. Showing up on time, keeping your word, treating people kindly, standing firm in your decisions, these daily choices add up. Over time, they create an undeniable pattern that others respect. Disrespect loses its power when met with unwavering consistency and integrity. People who disrespect you often look for weaknesses, places where words don't match deeds. Don't give them that opening. Make sure your actions always reflect your values and your self-worth. When you do this, disrespectful behavior loses its impact because it no longer fits the reality of who you are. You become untouchable in the sense that you don't give others the power to define your worth. Another critical aspect is patience. Showing your worth through actions takes time. It's a slow, steady process, but one that pays off in the long run. Don't get discouraged if respect doesn't come immediately. Keep doing the work, living the truth of your values. Over time, actions build credibility and dismantle the power of disrespectful behavior. In relationships, whether personal or professional, actions are what build trust. Trust is the root of respect. If you consistently behave with integrity, others will trust you more. And when trust is strong, respect naturally follows. This cycle strengthens your position and protects you from the damage disrespect can cause. When you focus on actions, you also build self-respect. You stop relying on others' opinions to validate your worth. You stand tall knowing that you are living in alignment with your principles. This self-respect creates an inner confidence that shines through to others. Confidence is magnetic and commands respect without a single word. Remember that actions can also include setting boundaries, protecting your time, and walking away when necessary. These are actions that demonstrate self-care and respect. They send a clear message to others that you value yourself enough to not tolerate disrespect. Words alone cannot communicate this as effectively as decisive actions do. In the end, respect is earned by what you do every day. Let your behavior be your voice. When disrespect comes, respond with consistent action that proves your worth. Your words might be forgotten, but your actions will leave a lasting impression. They will tell the story of who you are and what you stand for, louder and clearer than any speech ever could.